Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be deep diving and critiquing the new combat patrol for the Astra Militarum. And let me tell you, this is a bit of a spicy meatball, because there has been some chip, and dare I say chat, around the proverbial internet water cooler about how trash this box set is. There's some bold choices in here, Games Workshop. Some bold choices indeed. And so without further ado, let's fix bayonets and charge right into this thing. The first thing I want to do is briefly cover exactly what you get in this combat patrol. So it comes in from Games Workshop at the price of 100 of your finest pound sterlings, and for that you get yourself a Cadian command squad, a unit of Cadian Kazakin, and 2 boxes of the Attilan Rough Riders. Now individually, none of those units are bad. In fact, all of them are pretty useful and pretty good inside a guard army. For example, the Cadian Command Squad is a staple of any Cadian infantry platoon, and it does come with a wide variety of options, and you can build it with the officers with different loadouts like plasma pistols and power fists and power swords, and you can see the sprues are absolutely chock full of different bits. Likewise with the Kazakin, I mean, oh my god, there's a time when you couldn't get Kazakin for love nor money, and the fact that now they're inside the combat patrol is fantastic. It means that they should never run out, and everyone can get their hands on Kazakin whenever they need to. And from a gameplay point of view, Kazakin are a fantastic unit, elite guard infantry with scout that punch hard, that hit hard, and they've got their warrior elite ability, which is they can order themselves, and they've also got the melter mine. So yeah, Kazakin are great. Another unit that has great play on the tabletop, and if we look at the sprues here, we can see they are coming with all of the bits and the special weapons that we need to build a squad of KD's finest. And we're not going to be short on any special weapons. We get 2 plasma guns, we get 2 melter guns, all good, all good. And then we get to the Attilan Rough Riders. Now, cavalry are a little bit like Marmite. You either love them or you hate them. A lot of people think that cavalry look a bit silly in 40k. Personally, I have a big soft spot for Attilan Rough Riders because they're a classic unit. They've been around, they've been part of the guard lore for, well, ever since I've started playing back in 3rd edition. And these are actually really cool models. And on the tabletop, they're actually surprisingly decent. In an age where Bulgrin have been nerfed pretty hard and pretty consistently, Rough Riders actually, they may not be as durable as Bulgrin, but they actually punch way harder with those Melter Lances. So individually, none of these units are actually a bad choice. On top of this, if we look at the price of the Combat Patrol, which is £100, and then we compare that to the price of buying these boxes individually, this is actually a really good deal. Like, I was not expecting GW to give us a deal that was this good. So the Cadian Command Squad comes in at £28, the Kazakin come in at £42.50, and the Rough Riders come in at £40 each, which is a total of £150.50 if you bought all of these separately. So with the Combat Patrol, you are saving a significant amount. You're saving a third. You're getting a 33% discount from Games Workshop if you buy this Combat Patrol. So there are some positives to this box. Individually, the units are good and the kits are modern. There's no filler with older models in here in any way, shape or form, and the discount is pretty high. So why are people saying that this box is absolute trash? The first reason is the Rough Riders. Cavalry is love or hate. It's like Marmite. It's what I said earlier. And for a lot of people, the fact this box even contains cavalry is just a no-no. And they won't see past that. They won't want to see past that. And that's fine, because it's just not their playstyle. And I would say the majority of guard players aren't bothered or actively dislike cavalry in their armies. If you ask a guard player why he got into the army, there's going to be one of two standard responses you get. I wanted to throw waves after waves of men at the enemy, or I wanted to crush them beneath my iron treads. Most people get into the guard for the tanks, or for the infantry, or for a combination of both. And then you've got those naughty freaks that love pounding people with artillery. But rarely will you get the answer of, I got into it for the cavalry. Not never, but rarely. And so, because such a big portion of this box is taken up by the cavalry, because essentially out of the 25 models, 10 of them are cavalry, that's just gonna put a lot of people off it. And inversely, another reason why people don't like this box is not because of what it does contain, but because of what it doesn't contain. There's no vehicles in here. Guard players love vehicles. As someone who's been trying to give the guard community advice for what feels like 10 years at this point, at the amount of times when someone sent me a list into review and I've said, okay, well, you need a bit more infantry here, a bit more artillery, and they go, no, I want all the tanks I can get my hands on. Guard players love tanks. And a lot of our a lot of our starter boxes in the past have contained tanks. The old Combat Patrol had a Sentinel in. It's not a tank, but it is a vehicle. Then the old Start Collecting set before that had a Leman Russ. And then we had the days of like Battle Forces where you would have like a Leman Russ and a Chimera, or you'd have like a Leman Russ and a Sentinel if you go back far enough. There's always been some kind of vehicle, some kind of treads that is in the Guard Start set, because Guard players love vehicles. The active lack of vehicle in this Combat Patrol is one of the reasons why I think people don't like it. On building on that point, I think what's also missing from this box set is bread and butter units. Even though it could be definitely argued from a meta point of view, from a cutthroat point of view, that blobs of infantry tend to be a little bit less effective than being a bit more specialized. You know, it's better to have a specialist than a generalist. And this box is full of specialists. The reason I think a lot of people are put off this box, the reason why I personally am put off it, is because there's no bread and butter units here. Where's my platoon of guardsmen? You've always got to have a platoon. Doesn't matter if it's a good choice or not. You've always got to have a platoon of guardsmen. The infantry corps. Every day in the corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. And here, we've got a bunch of individually good units, but we've not got any bread and butter. We've not got our foundation. This is all dessert and no main. And speaking of individual units, the biggest problem that I personally have with this box set is none of these units really work together. None of these units are cohesive. A great example of this is the command squad. There's no unit for the command squad to join. It's a leader unit. It is a leader unit that in this box set can't lead anything. It should have a squad that it can join. And it can't join a squad. And so it just feels wrong. It doesn't pass the vibe check. There's no bread and butter. These units individually are great, but cohesively are terrible. It just doesn't feel right. And if we compare the old Combat Patrol to the new one, it's completely the opposite. We've got so many good staple units here. We've got 20 guardsmen, which can be led by the Canadian Command Squad. Instantly, they just work together. It just fits. It just works. And then you've got some artillery. Artillery isn't specialist. Artillery is something that you need in every single guard army. I never leave home without a couple of artillery pieces. And being able to get your hands on the field orders batteries and get your hands on those bombast guns, it's a great way of just being able to add some indirect fire into your army from the get-go. Sure, when this box was released, were Basilisk the better option? Yes. But if you were starting out and you needed a solid core of infantry and you needed a solid amount of artillery, the Combat Patrol was a great place to start. And this kind of leads me on to my last point, which is the new Combat Patrol. If we pull that up again, the new Combat Patrol is a terrible foundation. The old Combat Patrol, my advice to everyone who's getting into Guard was just buy 3 of the new Combat Patrol. buy 3 of the combat patrol. Gets you 75 infantry if you include the command squads, gets you all of the artillery you're going to need, and you get squadron sentinels. After you've got 3 of the combat patrols, the only thing that you need to do then is buy tanks. And you buy like two Rogel Dawns and a couple of Lima Russes, or you know, buy some 4 tanks of your choice. And you'll probably get up to 2,000 points that way. And you'll have a solid or take all comers all-rounder army. This new combat patrol, who's going to buy more than 1 of it? I mean, unless you're some absolute mad bastard who's like, I need 30 Rough Riders. And I know some of you are out there. You're just not going to get it. Yeah, it's just, and it's not a good foundation. There's no infantry corps, there's no tank corps, there's no artillery. It's not pointing guard players in the right place. And I know that it could be argued that this isn't start collecting anymore. This is combat patrol, and this is more geared towards the mini game, the sub game that is combat patrol. But it seems real weird to me to make a box that supports a very crappy, often not very played and not very well regarded mini game, than having a box that actually supports a guard player on the beginning of what is their hobby journey. The old combat patrol was infinitely superior to the new combat patrol for getting people started off right. And just to rub salt in the wound, the old combat patrol is a slightly better deal. I've just quickly added the numbers up, and the old combat patrol, if you bought the items individually, came to £153. So it's not a big difference, but technically you were saving a little bit more with the old one. In summary, the new combat patrol does have some positives going for it. It has a number of specialist units, and if you look at those units individually, they are actually all pretty good data sheets. The problem is that those units don't work together. They don't feel cohesive. It doesn't feel like a guard combat patrol because it's not got those bread and butter units like guard infantry platoons or like vehicles like tanks in there. And it just doesn't pass the vibe check. As a result, I think this is a combat patrol that I can still recommend, but I don't recommend it for beginner players. This is no longer a place where you should start your guard journey. This is a box that you probably want to get your hands on once you've built up some of those standard guard units, a few chimeras, a few infantry platoons, a few tanks, and then you add this box on to get a little bit of something different and a bit of specialist to your army. So this is a combat patrol, not a start collecting, and that's how I see it, and that's how I would recommend it. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think that this is actually pretty decent and I've been a little bit harsh and maybe I'm being a bit closed-minded and going, oh, doesn't have my favorite units in it? Or do you think that GW has dropped the ball on this? Maybe it's a bit overly specialized and it's not a good starting point for new guard players. If you enjoyed today's video, as always, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button, as it really does help boost the video with the old YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more content like this, then make sure you subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members, and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.